Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Admissions Live. We are your weekly web show for college admissions professionals, and we're coming to you tonight on the Higher Ed Live Network, which is all about digital development and professional empowerment. We've got Mallory Wood on tonight's show, and we're talking about video in student recruitment. So I hope that you're joining us live for tonight's show and that you'll be following along our Admissions Live hashtag and tweeting at us and letting us know what you think and what your questions are during the show. We're also running on a little bit of a slow internet connection tonight, so if you're having any trouble viewing the show, please let us know via that Admissions Live hashtag as well. If we have any trouble, we might be postponing, but fingers crossed that everything goes smoothly for us. I want to get right into the show, but we can't do that without giving a shout out to our sponsors that make Admissions Live possible. Admissions Live is brought to you by Integral, the creators of the Schools app on Facebook. What are you doing with post-accept student communications? Check out the Integral webinar series about how private social networks can increase yield and retention. That happens tomorrow and nearly every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We've sent out a tweet with that link, so be sure to sign up if you have not done so already. Admissions Live is also sponsored by Scavenger, a Google-funded mobile game about going places, doing challenges, and earning points. Check out the link that we sent out and learn how La Roche College has incorporated Scavenger into its visit program to help differentiate itself from other colleges. Admissions Live is sponsored by Welcome to College, who believe it's all in the visit, and have created web and mobile applications to help institutions measure and manage their most critical recruitment tool, the college visit. Springtime is not just for admitted students. It's a time when high school sophomores and juniors are getting a jump on their college tours. With over 15,000 ratings on Welcome to College's site, you can check out how your institution is stacking up. And last but certainly not least, Admissions Live is sponsored by Zinch.com, the preferred destination by over 3 million students to research schools and scholarships and to showcase themselves as more than a test score. Over 1,000 colleges and universities around the world partner with Zinch to attract and enroll best fit students in their largest college search social network in the world. To learn more about Zinch, email outreach@zinch.com or tweet @socialadmission. Tonight's guest is Mallory Wood. She's the marketing manager at mStoner, a marketing and communications consulting firm that works exclusively with education clients. I'm really, really excited to have Mallory on the show tonight. We've worked together a little bit in the past, and I think she's going to be a great fit for the show about video. We're talking specifically about video for student recruitment and mostly about online video tonight. So without further ado, I want to bring Mallory onto the show. Fingers crossed that our internet connection holds up. Hello, Mallory. Welcome.
Hi, Ashley. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm glad we've got this going. So
I am too. I love that you described me as a great fit for this show. You can tell that you are truly an admission counselor with that kind of language. So that's awesome. I had to point it out.
Yes, you are. Perfect fit. That's what I look for. So, do you want to give us a little bit of background about what your higher ed experience is and why I think you might be a perfect fit, how you convinced me that you would be a perfect fit for this video show?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, I am the marketing manager at mStoner. We are a marketing and communications consulting firm, and we work exclusively with higher education. So we do all sorts of things like redesigns and video projects, social media strategy, you name it. So what's really nice is in my current position, I'm able to continue to explore and really be engaged with online video as a tool for student recruitment. But really, I became interested in this topic when I was working at St. Michael's College in Vermont. I was in the admission office there and noticed that the college had a YouTube channel, but there wasn't exactly recent content on that YouTube channel. And what was featured didn't exactly seem like it would appeal to a prospective student. So I thought that, that this is a real opportunity that is being missed to connect with future students on a different platform. So I was very lucky. I had people above me who were supportive, and I was able to self-teach myself some video shooting and editing skills. And I say that I'm not exactly proud of the first videos that I produced. They were, in the words of Seth Odell, pretty janky. But that's how you learn. That's how you figure this stuff out. And so I just tried it. I just started, dipping my toes in, and eventually they got better. Eventually I got better equipment, and I was, able to really, take St. Mike's from a place where, the YouTube channel had maybe 10,000 views to where it is today with, nearly 200,000 views.
Awesome. So video is not a new idea for admissions folks, right? When you have students visiting campus, there's often an admissions presentation, and there might be a video thrown in there. If you're at a campus event, there's video shown on campus during those events. But the online world of video and how you might use it in recruitment, I think, is still new for most schools, and they haven't really grasped what it is they should be doing with this technology. So I'm hoping that's where we can really touch on tonight. And so, I think that's why we should continue this discussion and kind of hit on some of the things that have been successful. And for those people that maybe are just getting started, give them some examples to work from, or some kind of case studies or successes that they can kind of point to start leveraging that for their office. If they're trying to convince their higher ups that this is something that they should be doing, hopefully we can provide them with some information as to why they should be doing this. So can we start there? Can we start by talking about why we would be targeting prospective students with video?
Absolutely. I am always tweeting some ComScore statistics out. And so the first thing I have to mention is ComScore. They produce a lot of press releases and a lot of reports that are focused on video and also on millennials. So one that I want to mention is their next generation strategies for advertising to millennials report. It came out, I think maybe a month ago. It's new in 2012. And what this report found is that millennials are highly engaged with content that they choose to view. The report included both television and digital environments, but nonetheless, if a millennial is choosing to engage with your content, they are going to be engaged with your content. So that is obviously going to amplify the effectiveness of your advertising. So I think, what to take away from this study is if you are going to target a millennial, it is important to utilize basically whatever you can to engage them. And obviously video is an incredibly engaging platform. You should also, the two other pieces that I thought were interesting in that report are that you should employ strong creative, and you should place ads around engaging content. So if you're going to host video on your site, think about placing strategic calls to action around that video, because that would essentially be like your ad around the engaging content that you're producing. I think, just simply put, video allows allows you to connect in a way that just words or photos cannot do. Video can evoke really strong emotions in people if you have the right combination of sights and sounds. So using video allows you as in the institution, to get your message across more personally. And, we always talk about or at least I often hear when we talk about institutions and social media that we need to personalize the institution. We need to get away from making that institution cold. That's why Twitter avatars, for example, we want people in Twitter avatars, not logos. It allows you to make that connection. So video is a really great way to make that connection, to get your message across in that personal way. And simply, video allows you to reach a lot more people. Think 10 years ago, if you were working at your institution, how are you going to reach a massive amount of people? You're probably going to have to put an advertisement on television. Now, web video allows you to bypass that and get to a much larger audience in a much quicker way.
Great. Yeah. And I liked what you said about evoking emotion out of people. And I think that video might be something that we can think about when we're looking at the admissions prospective student funnel. And when are you really trying to evoke emotion or make an emotional connection with a student? That's after they've been admitted, I think anyway. Because prior to that, the students aren't really thinking about going just yet. They're still collecting information, putting you on a list. And if you make it to that list that they have applied and you have accepted them, now it's a big decision time. And now you
Absolutely.
do want to make that strong relationship, that emotional connection with the student. And if you have a tool like video that produces that, maybe that is the place to start playing around with video in that post-accept flow, because I think you'll see some returns on investment there.
Definitely. Once a student is accepted, it's no longer about how many undergraduates you have at your institution, or do you have my major? Those questions were probably answered in their junior year.
We hope so.
Yeah, all right. Good point. We hope so. But, hopefully they're past those questions. And now it's all about fit. We're going back to fit again. But that's what it really becomes, the most important criteria among their lists, because you can probably assume that you've passed all the other pieces of criteria to get to that point.
Right.
So I love what you just said, because it's so true.
Right.
A video allows you to make that connection.
Awesome.
What's really interesting, and I'm going to talk ComScore up a little bit more. I have some more studies I want to mention. More than 100 million Americans watched online video content on the average day in 2011. That is just unbelievable. And that's a 43% increase from a year ago. And per viewer, that's a 36% increase in videos per viewer. So people are consuming web video like, there's no tomorrow. So it's, really, really important that you are in that mix, or else if that student is going to look for online video and you're not there, they're going to find somebody else. And so that's a real missed opportunity.
I think you're right. I think we're to the point where it's expected in a search to be able to find something driven by the institution, not just that student-generated content, but content that's driven by the institution for prospective students or for whatever your constituents are. I think you're right. We're definitely there. And that if you're not there, there's probably video about your institution out there, but if it's not anything done by you, it's probably not exactly to your brand standards. If you're not thinking about this already, I think you're right. It's high time you start thinking about what's out there and what's coming up in search. And I know you have a little bit to discuss about search later, but what else is going on in 2012? What's the state of online video? Is YouTube still the place we're going? What can you tell us about what's going on?
Sure. Before I answer that question, I want to say something to one of the points you just made, that there's a lot of video out there that you didn't create about your institution. And it just really shocks me when, particularly on YouTube, you as a channel have the ability to curate a favorites playlist and feature that content. And we know from Noel Levitt's surveys in particular that students are looking for not just videos produced by you, the institution, but videos produced by your students and your friends and your campus family. And it's a real, missed opportunity if you're not taking advantage of that favorites playlist, once every couple of months. Put your name, your institution's name, into the search bar and see what videos come up, because there is probably some really great stuff online that you didn't create. And you can just favorite all those videos and allow prospective students or anybody viewing your YouTube channel to get access to that content in a much easier way. Obviously, you probably don't want to favorite everything, but watch those videos and make some decisions. And that's a suggestion that I always make to institutions, and it really surprises me that more don't do that.
Yeah, that's an awesome point, because not even just video that's created by folks outside your institution, but there's a lot of video content created by folks within my institution that I don't know about. Different colleges will create their own content, or student organizations will create their own content, and that's definitely stuff that should be leveraged. But adding it, taking the time to dedicate to managing it on your channel is definitely something that in the end will save you time, because you're going to be able to produce content quicker if you're repurposing it from other folks.
Yeah. And so we have been talking about YouTube this whole time. And so now I'm going to actually answer the question that you asked me. YouTube is still the giant. There are other video hosting sites out there. I'm not going to give you a list because chances are you and the viewers of this show already know about them all. But YouTube really is the giant. And so if you have limited resources, my suggestion would be to focus on YouTube. Of course, you want to make sure that your website has video as well, but if you need a place to host that video, my suggestion would be to use YouTube. Another ComScore, another ComScore press release that got sent out, the January 2012 U.S. Online Video Rankings report says that 181 million U.S. internet users watch nearly 40 billion videos. And so that averages out to over 1,300 minutes per viewer. And that's in the month of January. That's in 1 month. 84% of the US internet audience in general watches video. So those are outstanding numbers, I think, that really make me say, this is not something we can ignore. What I think is interesting is I know a lot of institutions are trying to recruit internationally. And of course, YouTube is a great platform to use if you are trying to recruit internationally, minus China. But ComScore has also started measuring video viewership internationally in a number of European countries, in Australia, in New Zealand. So you can get metrics on that as well. The ones I've been reporting on are all US based, but it's really nice that they're now measuring other countries as well. Because if you are focusing, say, on Europe for your institution to recruit, you can get some of those stats. But
right. And you can gather that kind of data on your own YouTube insights too,
exactly.
to track if you were just targeting a certain audience, if it's actually hitting that audience, if it's being picked up somewhere else. So all of that is definitely something to keep in tune with your international recruitment strategy. And if you're the person that's creating content for your admissions office and you're not someone who is on the international team, These are things to make sure you're sharing with that team and let them know that these kinds of analytics are out there for them to follow too. So there's, I think a lot to be had to give it all to one person, but data is something that can be shared with everyone. And I think all of the social networks are getting a lot better with their own insights and what you can kind of leverage from them. So let's talk a little bit about higher ed. That was, video in general and what's going on in the U.S. It's certainly blowing up. But what's going on in higher ed? Where have we come in the past few years? And where do you think, what kind of trends do you see now that you think are going to be taking off?
Sure. Well, I really think that the next wave in higher ed is flash mobs. I think that's just going to blow up. And then maybe lip dubs will follow that. I'm not sure, though. Sorry, that's my lame attempt at a joke. But really, let's stop making flash mobs and lip dubs. I'm waiting for someone to do the unflash mob. I've been saying this for, since last summer when I heard the idea, but I think that would be hysterical. On a more serious note, right now, it actually seems like there is a competition to make the weirdest recruitment video. And I get the strategy of give the unexpected and be controversial. That's definitely not a new marketing strategy by any means. Think about United Colors of Benetton's print and billboard advertisements. They kind of pioneered shock advertising in a lot of ways. They've been doing it for 20 plus years. But it's all of a sudden higher ed institutions have discovered shock advertising and have decided to make videos with aliens and people getting cut in half. And it's very bizarre, but it seems to be working in terms of how many people are viewing these videos. Probably because this is still new, people are, giving this sort of the style of video a lot of press right now, and it's getting passed around a lot. I wonder if it's being passed to the right people. I would be really curious to hear what a 17-year-old has to say about the University of Huddersfield Aliens in the HUD video.
Awesome.
Is that cool, or is it just weird? I think it's funny and hysterical. It's very fringe-like. I like that show. It's more like a 4-minute, television show instead of a promotional university video. But I'm curious to know what a 17-year-old really thinks of that.
Me too. And we've got a request for examples, and just so that everyone knows, we have lots of examples coming your way. So we'll be sending them out over the Admissions Live hashtag. Don't watch them right now. Watch them after the show, but you're going to have all the resources that you need and plenty of examples. But great point that you make about, who is this target audience and what are they looking for? And I think a lot of times we get caught up with the fun videos that might go viral. But in the end, you have a lot of views, but did you actually reach your target audience with those views? Did you reach a lot of higher ed people that think it was cool that you did that? I'm not sure. It's a question that I think can be answered if you do look along the admissions funnel, like we started talking about a little bit earlier. If you're a new prospective student, you really care about 3 things. And it's things I hear at every single college fair I go to with junior students. Where are you located? Do you have my major? And how much do you cost? And from there, you either get put in the yes pile or the no pile. And then they go and keep asking those questions until they've gotten themselves narrowed down a little bit. So if your video is showing your location, then I think then you might be onto something. You're probably not calculating their financial aid on video, and you're probably not listing every single major, but maybe if you're showing the kinds of academics that you have, then for that prospects pool, you might be hitting it. I think where creativity can really come into play is when students are farther down that funnel, they've already been convinced that you fit in the yes pile, but now what is going to get them to actually come to campus or enroll in your school?
Absolutely. I need to read out one of the tweets that I just noticed from Seth Odell. He wrote, "The biggest problem facing video in higher ed is lack of strategy and accountability." And I can't agree more. I feel like so often, it's the day of an event or the day of something important, and suddenly someone's calling you or knocking on your door saying, "Oh, you've got a video camera, right? Can you go? Can you go shoot this?" And an example of how to, kind of combat that problem, I think, is with the Boston College Minute series. I've talked about this in previous presentations I've given, so this might be not something new to some of the viewers, but I am always really impressed with what Ravi does at Boston College and how he really thinks through the upcoming events on campus and what would be important to film from the eyes of the prospective student.
Right.
What are they going to be curious about? And so I know that we've got a link in our document here, and we'll tweet that out. But I would really encourage viewers to check out that series, because every single one of them is perfectly planned out, and oftentimes requires multiple cameras, multiple audio devices. You can't just show up and film some of these things.
Right.
But if you plan it out, use storyboard, get a lot of B-roll. Planning is probably 3/4 of video shooting sometimes. So I think that's again, Boston College Minute series, great example of how to plan out some of your video shoots.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll definitely get that one out to you folks. Let's talk about a few more examples of different kinds of videos, maybe with different audiences in mind, but what has higher ed been doing that's really been catching people's eyes?
Sure. Well, if the last couple of years were the years of the lip dub and the flash mob, now it is, I think 2012 is the year of the rap video. Lots of schools are doing some sort of music video or rap video. It's about time in a lot of ways. Clearly shows like Glee and now Smash are really popular, and so people are getting used to seeing people just spontaneously break into song at no moment's notice in a video. But there is a whole list of institutions that have recently created rap videos. There's Remember Our Name from the University of Rochester, which I'm sure, Ashley, you've seen probably once or twice, being located down the road. And so that's a really great video. I have to shout out Rachel Rubin for suggesting that we mention that video. It's quite creative. Murray State Anthem is another video from Murray State College. What's interesting about that video is they actually built branding campaign around it. There's T-shirts, there's print advertisements, and if you head over to mStonerblog.com, Michael Stoner actually did a blog post on this rap video and talks a lot about the ways that they integrated this online video into some other recruitment strategies. There is the City College Norwich official rap video. You can check that one out too. One that I really like is I Tell 'Em from Towson University. I wrote a blog post on this. I think Ashley's going to tweet out a link to that blog post. But in short, an associate director of undergraduate marketing. So he's not in the admission office, but focuses on undergraduate marketing. His name is Joe. I always mess up his last name. It's Schuberth or something like that. He is, he worked with students to create this video. It's a real student band on campus, and he basically let them write the song, add a lot of creative input into the shooting process, and I just think it's a really high quality video. And getting back to a point that you made a little earlier, sometimes these rap videos can be fun and they can be great, but they don't really give you a lot of information about the college. And so at the end of the day, how effective are they? That's why I tell them, because it's showing off the campus, it's giving some really great information about the institution, and it's doing it in a way that's not, lame or uncool. So,
Awesome.
yeah, so I would definitely recommend checking that one out if you haven't seen it already.
Yeah, so the music scene has been really popular in the past couple years with video. And it's almost like we only do video or we only do something musical to make things viral. And like you said, I don't know if that is a pop culture thing with Glee being so popular with that age group, or I can't believe that it's only music schools that are doing this. For me, it would make sense if you're a music school and you want to showcase the musical talent at your campus to do something musical. That makes sense for me too. But I think we can be more creative than just musicals. And yes, I did see the University of Rochester video. I thought it was awesome. And yes, all of my colleagues were asking me when RIT was going to be doing a rep video. So I'm still working on not doing that one because unfortunately I don't think we have the musical talent. Like the University of Rochester has a phenomenal conservatory. The Eastman School of Music is there, and they have incredible talent, and they can harness that. I'm not quite sure what we'll be harnessing musically here at RIT. We might be harnessing something else. So I think you're right. It is time to start being a little bit more innovative and kind of pushing the limit. Are there other videos that aren't doing music that are standing out? We did talk about the kind of shock and awe videos. I guess those are really new too.
Yeah, that whole let's be as weird as possible and just freak out the viewer. I have a feeling we are definitely going to see a lot more of that, just because those videos are getting so much press.
Right.
I think it's the University of Lincoln, right, that had those banned videos, and they were very strange, but then they actually worked with the student who created them, and then made this video with lots of rainbows and cats. And I mean, again, I know people in higher ed love their rainbows and cats, but I'd be really curious to talk to somebody at the University of Lincoln to see if students actually like that video or not. But you can say that about every video. Again, that's why I chose Yale. People loved it, people hated it.
Right.
So sometimes it's hard to necessarily measure the effectiveness of something that's controversial.
Yeah, and I don't blame folks for doing awesome musical work. When it works, it does really work. I know we could have given just as many examples of when it doesn't work, but we're not mean like that. But let's talk about some ways that this video can be disseminated. How do we reach people? I think a lot of times, if you're in a position that you can leverage video, you have folks knocking on your door asking you to do something that's going to go viral or that's going to get press. And you and I know that's not a flip of the switch to be able to do that, but let's give some folks some kind of creative ideas, or can you give us kind of a quick fire rundown of all the different ways that you can disseminate video and repurpose it online and all those sorts of things that are available?
Absolutely, because I definitely think that in most cases, if you are spending the time, money, and effort to create web video, you really need to make sure that there goes my alarm. Let's snooze that. It's telling me that I'm supposed to be on Admission Live tonight, so I guess it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? So, all right, here we go, and we're back. So, a quick fire list, I think, of ways that you can repurpose that content include, obviously YouTube, your own website. Vimeo, and all the others. TV ads, if you're spending the money to create something really high quality, put it on television. SNU is doing that. There's another institution, I think it's University of Indiana does that. You can use Pinterest for video, and that's getting a lot of views there. Facebook it, tweet it, anything with social media. Use it on a campus tour. For example, you could put a bunch of videos on YouTube and link them all together and have an online campus tour. Or you could host that right on your website. But if you're going to do that virtual campus tour, video is a really effective tool to incorporate into that. Use it on your private social networks. So if you're an institution like Ithaca, and I think we'll probably mention their video a little bit later, put some video on your private social networks that's just content for those students who are there. And also something that St. Mike's was doing right before I stopped working at the institution was putting QR codes on their admission print materials. When you scan that with your phone, it would lead you to video. And again, the college spent a considerable amount of money to create some new webisodes and some really, really nice pieces. And, that was a nice way of being able to incorporate it and to kind of take it with you as an admission counselor on the road. QR codes may interest some students more than others, but anecdotally, the admission counselors who were staying behind the table would say that when a student did know what a QR code was, they got really excited about it. Okay. They did it right there at the table, watched the video, and then would engage with questions that they had after seeing that video. So it seemed to be like an effective tool.
Very cool. So is this an easy thing for people to pick up and do? And at different institutions, does that vary? What are some of the challenges that you can kind of lay out and give folks that haven't tried this yet a heads up at what they might be up against?
Yeah, let's talk about challenges definitely quickly. Seth did a really great episode on Higher Ed Live about Video Production 101. And, I agree with pretty much everything that he and his guests said in that episode. There is a very low barrier to entry when it comes to doing video production in-house. There's a learning curve. There's a learning curve for anything. But if you have a camera, laptop software, and some other equipment as needed, you can, pick it up pretty fast. And as I said at the beginning of this episode, that's what I did, So there's classes that you can take, but if you don't have the time or resources to do that, just start messing around with the video camera and see where it takes you. Yeah. Human resources is definitely a challenge as well. If you are the person behind the camera, it's sometimes nice to have a second person to help you out with filming, somebody to ask the questions if you're interviewing, or to help set up those shots. And so, there's certainly times where the admission office or the marketing office can't spare the resources of that extra person. Yeah. So there's, time and just simply the ability to schedule it into your day. If you don't have the ability to do this in-house, of course, you can always hire an outside vendor to help. And one thing I want to mention about that is you don't just have to hire an outside vendor to create these videos for you. And, certainly you can do that. If you make sure you are getting the raw footage. Right. A good vendor should provide that for you. Whatever they film, they should provide you with all of that footage at the end of the day. And vendors can make really slick, really great videos for you. But vendors can also help train you, your staff, and your students how to do video themselves. So if you are engaging with a vendor for a video project, see what they can do to help with that training. mStoner worked with Kenyon College on some video projects, and our staff trained the students there to produce video themselves. And so, we weren't just giving them this one-off,
Right.
video, but helping them sustain it in the long term. So that's definitely a tip that I would have if you are choosing to work with a vendor.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, certainly things to look out for. Raw footage is so important, especially when you want to repurpose or update something down the road. You don't want to have to throw a whole video away. If you have that raw footage there, you can get in and do some editing yourself or turn it back over to someone that has the editing knowledge that can, again, help you out. So, besides just make a video that will go viral, can you help us with some kind of strategy that we can lay out for folks in our last, 5 or 6 minutes here?
Wait, so you're telling me that go viral is not a strategy?
Besides just go viral.
Okay, all right, because that's definitely the number one strategy.
Right, obviously.
Right, okay,
I didn't think,
all right.
yeah, okay.
I'm glad
we need to go over that one, but.
All right. Well, since we have that covered, I think that, video on the web is social, right? It's part of social media, especially if you're using a site like YouTube or Vimeo. And social media is at its core about building relationships. To be successful with social media, you need to measure your objectives. So how can you, build community and relationships with your viewers? That should be something that's in the back of your mind as you're producing and filming video. So, what I really think is key is creativity. As viewers, we don't just enjoy video, we participate in it. So a video that lets you participate, maybe spoof or remake the video, respond to that video, those are the videos that are going to get noticed. The ones that are really creative. Sometimes that means giving the unexpected and the just plain weird. Sometimes that means allowing the user to interact with your video, using a number of tools that either YouTube or whatever video hosting software you're using allows you to use. But being creative is really important, and thinking outside the box, not just sticking the president of your institution in front of the camera in a chair to talk for 10 minutes about, the strategic, mission,
Right.
and etc. That's probably not the most creative thing that you could do.
Yeah, and I think there's a line that you run, kind of a fine line that you run. I love the president example, because if you have a president that's willing to get on video for you, that's great, because there's some really cool things you can do with that. I remember McAllister's President's Day video, where they launched it on President's Day, a whole video about their president, and he was going around campus doing every single job on campus. It showed a lot of the campus. It showed a lot of his engagement with the community and the students, and I thought that was great. Would a president sitting in his office regurgitating the university's strategic plan be a little bland? Yeah, not much creativity there. But I also think sometimes we jump the shark with administration, and you kind of question why these folks have time to do these kinds of outrageous things. So you want to be careful that you're, being sensitive to the audience, especially at an institution where people pay these administrators a heck of a lot of money to do their job, and not just do fun things. So that's kind of an interesting one, but I kind of got off tangent talking about creativity, and I think pushing the envelope is definitely where those creative juices get flowing, right? When you can kind of let your freak flag fly And, maybe you are a campus that has some weird stuff going on. That might be where you look first. So,
Or,
um,
really, what you just said actually makes a lot of sense,
right.
even though it was funny. Look at what is going on your campus
Yes,
first.
right.
Your institution might have a really popular fire and rescue program. That is not something every institution out there has. So how can you use a big red fire truck in a creative way, and show these students and the amazing work that they do in a way that appeals to prospective students,
Right.
or students that have been accepted. And that's just one very simple example, but your institution has something unique and has a story to tell. Finding a way to tell that story through video is necessary in 2012. It's really not an option not to do that.
Yes, great point. And I think, if it's something almost, I think about as an admissions office, at certain points in time, there are things that I find myself wanting to suppress, because I don't really like it. So things like, we have the largest anime club, or the anime club is our biggest club on campus. That's not something that I want to tell to the hockey recruit because I think it might turn him off. But in reality, if that is a huge draw for our student body, there's probably a large number of students that are looking at our institution that are looking for something exactly like that. And so even if you think it's something that might not fit every student, those things that you might think are strange or want to suppress are probably the things that you should start looking at and kind of getting outside your comfort zone, and give it a whirl and see if it's successful. I know we've done, coming from a technical institution where we have a very skewed male-female ratio, instead of exploiting, or trying to pretend that there were more women in one area than another, actually exaggerating it in the opposite way, and having fun with that stereotype, or letting folks see that you recognize it and can have fun with it. I think they appreciate that a little bit more too. So maybe it's
Absolutely.
something that's not on your admissions agenda. Maybe it's the opposite of that, but you can still have fun with that in video, and kind of turn things around if you do it right.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what kind of opportunities do you see that are out there? Are there, we talked a little bit about storytelling. I think you're onto something there. What kind of pointers do you have about that, or any other kinds of opportunities that you see on the horizon 2012 plus?
Sure. Well, really, what is a web video? It is a 2-minute story or a 4-minute story or however long it is. And there's a really great TED Talk from Andrew Stanton, and it's about the clues to a great story. Not all of it is directly applicable to web video, but I think that it's worth your time to watch. And some of the points that Andrew makes in that video is that storytelling is like joke telling, and knowing the end and the punchline is important before you start filming, before you start at the beginning, because everything you must say must lead to that end goal and to that punchline. And I think that's a really important point to take away. He also says, make me care. Why am I continuing to watch this 4-minute video at 2 minutes and 30 seconds? Make me care. Make a promise that the story is going to lead somewhere. If it's a slow 15 to 20 second start, you're going to lose a viewer. So show me that watching this video is worth my time. And, of course, he's coming from, a different background than you and I are. So he says it is as simple as saying once upon a time, which I thought that was kind of adorable. And the secret sauce, according to Andrew Stanton, is, can you invoke wonder? And I'm not going to say much more about that point. I just think it's an interesting one. Can you invoke wonder?
Awesome. So I want to make sure we have time for any questions that are out there. So if you're watching on the live stream right now and you have questions for us, head over to Twitter and use the hashtag admissionslive, and we'll be sure to get those in before the hour is up. Mallory, any other kinds of things that you wanted to make sure we shared with folks tonight? I know we had a lot of video resources out there. We'll make sure that they're up in the archive also and all linked. So if you missed one, don't worry about that. But are there other things that you want to make sure that we get in these last couple of minutes?
Absolutely. There are 4 tips that I want to kind of run through really quickly. 1, use Google's URL builder to tag your site links and your descriptions if you're putting links in the YouTube description area, because you want to be building these web videos into your analytics campaign and you want to know how effective they are. 2, still related to links. Use a link tracking service to post your videos in different places. That will help you measure what was effective and where it was effective, and that will help you moving forward. 3, tag things strategically. So you are in charge of your related videos. Use unique tags that are relevant to your institution on all of the videos that you create. I'm not saying unique as in zany and strange. I'm saying unique as in, maybe a 3 or 4 word tag that is very specific to your institution and would work on a large scale. That will help your videos show up in the related content. Who is your number 1 competitor? Ask yourself that, and tag your video, or even better, title your video in the file before you upload it to YouTube with that institution's name. So, for example, when you search for the University of Vermont dorms, you actually will also see a video about the St. Michael's College freshman dorms, and that video, thanks to YouTube's analytics, you can see, or I was able to see, that we received a good amount of traffic from that particular YouTube search. So think about crafty ways and be strategic when you're tagging. Also, use the YouTube keyword tool. For example, you can type in, the language English, the country, the USA, and the word college, and it is going to generate nearly 100 keywords for you, and it's going to tell you how often they're searched. So that will give you suggestions for when you are tagging your college-related videos. Number 4 is be aware of changes. And of course, the biggest change came to YouTube this month when they pushed the new look for channels out to everybody. I would suggest going to youtube.com/Dartmouth for a great example of how to take advantage of these changes. Their YouTube channel is really buttoned up. It looks fantastic. But you will notice that now it is far easier to post a comment to the channel. It is right up in the right-hand corner of the screen, very noticeable and very easy to do. So just be aware of that, because your channel might be seeing more comments than you have ever received previously, because it used to be kind of buried at the bottom of the page. So those are 4 quick tips, I guess, that people can take away.
Awesome. Well, we've got one kind of big question for you that Seth has so graciously already answered for you on Twitter, but I want to give you your own shot to answer it. Folks want to know what the future of video is in higher ed.
I see Seth's answer. I feel like I would be in the doghouse if I didn't say the future is live streaming. But luckily, I agree with Seth on that one. So, it's really important to live stream your events, particularly ones that are going to be, viewed by a lot of people, or will interest a lot of people. It's technology that we have, it's not exactly new. I mean, it's been around for a little while. And again, the barrier to entry is the learning curve, and having the right equipment.
Definitely. And, live streaming is just another way to capture that video too. So it doesn't mean that you can't repurpose it or edit it for other things in the future, like you have been doing with your current content that you've been producing, as long as you're saving those recording. And I just checked to make sure I was recording this tonight. As long as you're saving your videos and making sure that live stream is something that you can repurpose out later. So definitely. Any other last words for all folks?
I see that Brian followed that up with on Twitter asking how we can use that in the admission process. And I think the easiest and quickest way to use live streaming in the admission process is to actually put a couple students and maybe an admission counselor in front of a camera and do live Q&A. That's not getting at live streaming events, but that is providing that real-time video for your prospective students. And, a lot of institutions are doing text-based chats, right. Q&A, and see success with that. Imagine the success you could see with actually sticking yourself in front of that camera and, right. and answering the questions live. So I think that, that's a quick answer, and I'm sure there's other opportunities, but if you have to start somewhere, live Q&A is a great place to start.
Definitely, and I'm glad you made that point, because I think a lot of folks see the next jump from that live chat to a live video chat, but you don't necessarily have to have those students on video. So that is another step that you could take, but not a necessary step. Those students can be coming in via text, and you can be the one on camera, and it adds so much value. So thank you for that follow-up and catching that one out there. Folks, if you have more questions, keep firing them at us. We won't take up any more of the time on the live broadcast, but we'll continue to answer questions, and we'll have Mallory's contact information on the archive, so you can continue to contact her if you're not watching us live. Mallory, any kinds of last words for our folks out there in the video world?
Sure. I will leave our viewers with this point. I spoke with a Yale grad last fall about the video, That's Why I Chose Yale. And she was, tripping over herself. She loved it. And this woman was probably in her, 40s or 50s. She felt like it captured the type of nerdy fun that the type of student who would succeed at Yale, needs to embody. And then, right after we talked about that, I showed her I Tell 'Em from Towson, and she hated it. So what did that say to me? It said that the type of fun and lighthearted video that your institution is going to produce must really authentically capture the vibe of your school. And so the type of student who is intrigued by Townsend's I Tell 'Em is not necessarily the type of student that is going to be intrigued by the Yale video. So it all comes down to, you started it with fit, and we're going to end it with fit. It all comes down to
it's the way it rolls. Awesome.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much, Mallory. Thanks for coming on. This was a great episode, and I hope you'll come and join me again sometime.
Oh, of course. Anytime, Ashley.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We will be live again next week. And next week, I'm bringing on a good friend of mine for a different kind of show. We're going to be talking about nutrition and wellness. So we're departing a lot from the web, but we're actually going to be gearing all of you admissions folks up for your spring travel season and making sure that you know exactly how to stay fit as a road warrior. So she's going to be coming on. She's a nutritionist, and she'll be coming on talking about what to eat off that sub platter at the college fair, or what you should be looking for when you have to eat on the road, other kinds of great wellness tips. So I'm really excited to have her on, and I hope She has good tips for keeping us sane in this upcoming spring travel season. So tune in again next week for Admissions Live. We are live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks again for tuning in tonight.